Hello, welcome to No Drop. I'm Jeff Zen. Next week is the Rapha Festive 500. This is one of my favorite times of year to ride. I have done this challenge 5 years in a row, and this will be my 6th year. In that time, I do feel like I have developed some systems, some tips, some recommendations that make this challenge a heck of a lot easier. You know, the fitness part of this, the actual riding the bike, is just part of the challenge. And so there are things that I do that I want to share with you to hopefully set all of us up for success. Before I go any further into this episode, the number one tip that I would give is bike maintenance. And this is something that I encourage you to address now, especially if you need to bring your bike to a mechanic to have something worked on. We are 1 week away. It is going to come up so quickly. So pause this podcast, go take a look at your bike, check out your tires, make sure nothing is gashed, check out your drivetrain, see what needs to be serviced, check out your shifting. If you have hydraulic brakes, check those out. Setting ourselves up for success through the maintenance of our bike and having a well-maintained bike, believe me, this makes the week so much easier. And the last thing that I want to deal with after finishing the first 1 or 2 days of riding is then having to work on my bike for an hour or two. So go check out your bike, make sure it's in good working condition. And if it's not, start to plan the time that you need this week in order to get it there so it's perfectly maintained going into the first day of riding. The second tip that I would give is time management. And that sort of goes with this maintenance thing. If we look at how this week is going to come together, it's going to be a lot of time riding, which isn't going to leave a lot of time for other things. So within time management, think about things like meal prep, making sure that you have food, making sure that you've built in and set aside recovery and rest time. Think about the logistics of, do I have enough kit to make this week happen? And so when am I going to do laundry? These are all things that I try to at least create a loose schedule, a loose plan of how is the week going to go. And so then once I get into the ride, I can sort of go on autopilot and just start checking boxes instead of getting off the bike and thinking, okay, how do I clean up, eat, rest, recover, sleep, wake up, do this all over again? That's a lot to think about. So rough out your week and definitely think about, am I making the most efficient use of my time? My third recommendation is plan a rest day. Let's break down what this challenge actually is for a second and see how it looks depending on how many days of rest you take. So if you do this challenge with no rest days, you have to ride 311 miles in 8 days. So that is 39 miles per day with no rest. One rest day means you have to ride 45 miles per day for 7 days. 2 rest days means that you have to ride 52 miles a day for 6 days. I know for me, the sweet spot is kind of that 45 mile a day schedule. So I really like taking one rest day. I usually plan it in the middle of the week or towards the end of the week. So that is definitely a tip for me. Riding every single day, 8 days in a row, that can get really challenging for me to take one day off and just sort of reset and spend a day just sort of recovering and hanging out with friends, that can be a really great recovery tool. My fourth recommendation, and this is a big one, is as you're planning your rides, go for distance. Do not go for elevation. The Rapha Festive 500 is a distance challenge. There are no elevation requirements. So in order to keep this mileage as manageable as possible, I usually try to make this a very, very flat week. And I would recommend that everybody build out their routes like that. My final tip for being successful with the Rapha Festive 500 is to keep up on your calories. When I spoke about time management, meal prep and making sure you have enough food was part of that. Throughout this week, staying fueled is going to be imperative, not only for your recovery, but also for having the energy to perform the next day. So keep up on your energy intake. When I do these rides, even if I'm going out for just kind of like a little 20-25 mile day, I will bring a bunch of food with me and I will try to eat that whole time. 311 miles in 8 days is a huge amount of volume, even if you're keeping it very, very flat. And that is a lot of energy that I'm using. And so I'm really focused on keeping on top of my calories. Fortunately, it's a great time of year for super high calorie food. You might have gatherings or parties to go to. So don't hold back. Eat, eat, eat. It's all energy. That'll definitely help make the week easier. Those are my recommendations for the Rapha Festive 500. And before I end this episode, I guess just one additional recommendation that I might make that I remember, which is kind of in the mindset category, is some days of this are just going to be really, really hard. And I would encourage you to just treat this like an experience. So if it's hard to get on the bike, just do it and see where that takes you. This is a very rare opportunity to challenge ourselves in this way. There aren't any other challenges throughout the year that sort of focus on this much riding this consistently. And one really, really valuable thing that I've learned from taking on the Festive 500 year after year is that some days are just really hard. But I've always been proud of myself for completing this challenge, and I've always enjoyed my rides after the fact. That's been a very, very important mindset shift for my training philosophy and where I've gotten. So I invite everybody to just dive into this experience. And even if things get challenging, just work your way through it and see where that takes you. That's it for this episode. Please, as you're taking on these miles, get out there and ride safe. Try to spend time with friends, try to socialize, make this as fun of a challenge as possible. And until next time, ride safe.